every year with a contingent because the Marine Corps honors every former commandant, living and dead, on this day. This is the date of the birth of the Marine Corps, November the 10th, 1775, in Philadelphia, of all places. Not here, though. Of course, it was in a tavern, which I'm sure you honor that tradition very much, and that was Tun Tavern, which was located down basically on Dock Street, where the Sheraton is located today. Just a couple words about General Zeilin, because he's a remarkable man, a patriot, innovator, and the savior of the Marine Corps. I'm not sure you're aware of that, but he was a lifelong Marine. He served on the fleets, and in fact, in 1850, he was in command of the Marine contingent that opened Japan to the United States. He was with Admiral Perry when Japan, for the first time, allowed foreigners and relationships with outside powers in the United States. So he was there, one of the first to step on these Japanese soil, ironically. During the Civil War, he was stationed at the Washington Navy Yard and the Marine Barracks, which is nearby. And 2 companies of Marines was essentially all the defense that Washington had. So they were sent to bolster the Army, which was marching to Bull Run, the first battle of Bull Run, Manassas, Virginia, in July of 1861, and were engaged. The 2 companies. One of the companies was commanded by captain at that time, Jacob Zeilin, and they gave outstanding service as a rear guard to prevent the Confederates from rushing the retreating United States Army and overwhelming it and possibly winning the war there. So he was quite responsible. Now, he served in a number of positions during the Civil War, and eventually, in 1864, he was promoted colonel and commandant of the Marine Corps. So he was the commandant at the end of the Marine Corps, at the end of the Civil War. Then, after the war, as often happens in our country, Congress tried to cut back on the services. And one of the things they thought they would cut back on was the Marine Corps. Why was it necessary? The Army was doing, so much work. Why would you have to have another service doing essentially what the Army can also do? And so there were hearings in Congress in 1866 and 1867 about dissolving the Marine Corps. And Zeilin testified and spoke so eloquently and so passionately about the work of the Marine Corps and how vitally important they were that Congress did not dissolve the Marine Corps. So he's, in a sense, the savior of the Marine Corps back then. It could have been eliminated. Who knows if it would ever have returned. Also, while he was commandant, he was promoted Brigadier General. You can see the star, the single star of a Brigadier General, the iconography on his stone, on his obelisk. And that is the first time a Marine was ever promoted general. He was the first general in the history of the Marine Corps. Also, in 1867, a committee was put together to create a logo for the Marine Corps, a symbol, an icon, if you will. And although I'm not sure he actually of approving the design of the eagle anchor, globe and anchor. And you notice it is prominently displayed on his stone, so he was very, very proud of that accomplishment. So all the designs, the logos, the insignia the Marines wear today, I think we can thank General Zeilin for that. Also, his son, William Freeman Zeilin, who rests next to him, was an officer in the Marine Corps, young lieutenant, who happened to be serving at Norfolk. And ironically, he was on a horse. I guess you could say a horse marine, in a sense. And the horse, this is in 1880, the horse bolted for some reason, and he was out of control, and he had a choice of 2 things. One, running over some civilians or other people who were innocent bystanders who were standing nearby, or running into a bridge and harming or killing himself. He chose the latter. And so he sacrificed his life, even though it wasn't wartime. He was serving, he was in service, and sacrificed his life to help civilians. And I think that's another hallmark of the Marine Corps and of all the armed services. So he was killed in service, not in war, but in service. Notice the carvings on the stone are indicative of an officer who gave his life or sacrificed his life in service. His sword, his belt, and his sash, which were worn by officers at that time, and a broken column, which symbolizes a life cut short before its time. And General Zeilin, the apple of his eye was his son. And so he was devastated by the loss of his son, and he died shortly thereafter, as you can see just a few months later, of a broken heart, it is said. During the Civil War, it was a war, brother against brother, divided families, and the Zeilin family was no exception, because his brother, who's buried down by the bridge, was a Confederate veteran, a veteran of Confederate service, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he was a Confederate Marine. There was a Confederate Marine Corps doing in the same traditions as the United States Marine Corps. So he's buried down there. We can stop later and visit his grave. So once again, I'd like, on behalf of the Laurel Hill Cemetery, the Friends of Laurel Hill, Carol Yaster, our president, the Legion Post I represent, Post 405 at the Union League, Benjamin Franklin Post, and other organizations that support us. I'd like to thank you for coming out to the ceremony. And if you are interested, we will have a tour immediately following this of men who are interred here, who were killed in action or died in service, or of their wounds received in service. We have quite a large number of them. We also have 7 recipients of the Medal of Honor. One of them is a Marine, and he received it for sea service as a gunner on the United States ship Richmond, the USS Richmond. So he's nearby here, Sergeant Kelly. So with that, again, I thank our Marine contingent very, very much. Thank you for coming out here. And I guess we can say Semper Fi, Semper Fidelis, always faithful. And happy birthday as well. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for coming out. Okay.